The in-game descriptions for the hunting horn melodies barely tell you anything. It doesn't give you the exact buff values that you're getting. Luckily, we have a fantastic resource like mhn.quest to break it down for us, down to the exact mathematical numbers. So we'll be taking a look at the exact buffs that the hunting horn melodies give you and your teammates. And after learning this information, it should greatly influence how we play the hunting horn. Let's start off with the offensive melodies. These are usually the third melody in your hunting horns. Attack up large gives you a plus 10% buff to your attack power, and for attack up small, it only gives you a plus 4%.
That's rough, buddy.
Yikes, those are kinda small buffs. If you take into account that your teammates only get half of the effects, then attack up small gets way too small now. But hey, these are the smallest offensive buffs you can get out of the hunting horn, and it only gets better from here. Next, we have the element value up melody. With element value up large, you get a 12% buff, and with element value up small, you get 6%. This melody is pretty good since it affects both elemental values and status values. If you really want to maximize your damage, the element-specific melodies provide the biggest buffs. These provide a 16% increase to the specific element. So far, we only have fire attack up, thunder attack up, and water attack up melodies. But according to mhn.quest, there will be a dragon attack up and ice attack up melodies as well. Now these element melody buffs may provide the biggest buffs, but the problem is they only buff very specific elements. If your teammate is running a status weapon or a raw weapon, they won't benefit from the buff. Unlike the element value up melody, which affects both element and status values. Then there's the affinity up melody. With affinity up large, we get a 20% buff to our weapon's affinity. For an affinity up small melody, we only get a 10% affinity buff. And honestly, I don't think it's too bad if we consider the Nargacuga horn, for example. At max level, it already has 40% affinity built in. And then if we add the affinity up small melody it has, it will get 50% affinity without even equipping any armor skills. And that's not too bad. Combine it with a bleeding edge build and you'll have 100% affinity easily. The last offensive melody is the sonic wave melody. The selfish melody, I like to call it, because it doesn't give you or your teammates any buffs. It just gives you an extra bit of damage. When you play the sonic wave melody, it just produces a shockwave around you that deals damage. It only has a motion value of 24 and it has a low stun value as well. It's pretty meh if you look at the numbers, but it's always just a 3-note melody. A blue-red-blue note combo. So you can easily just spam this song over and over again by alternating between the two notes. So it may not buff you or your teammates, but I still think that the sonic wave is a viable melody for solo play. It does have a special property that counters monsters that burrow under the ground. It has a similar effect to a sonic bomb in mainline games, where when you throw it, it causes monsters under the ground to resurface and get stunned in a pitfall trap. So it's a great melody to counter monsters like Biototus and Diablos. So that covers all the offensive melodies. Now let's talk about the more support-oriented melodies. Earplug small melodies only nullifies weak monster roars, so it's not that great. If you really want to support your team, Earplugs large is way better because it nullifies both weak and strong monster roars. Even if your teammates only get half of the effects, Earplugs large still negates strong monster roars for them. This is why I think the Pink Rathian horn is such a great support hunting horn. because it has a great offensive melody with fire attack up, and then it also has a solid support melody with earplugs large. A very nice balance. Then we have special replenishment melodies. With special replenishment large, you get a 16% buff to your special gauge fill rate. That's even more than what you get when you equip concentration level 3. You don't even have to equip any armor pieces. All you gotta do is play the melody. For special replenishment small, you get a plus 8% special gauge fill rate. I think special replenishment small is the sweet spot for a bonus melody like this. Special replenishment large takes up the third melody slot of a hunting horn, and I think there are much better melodies in terms of value to have in this slot. Special replenishment may not be as noticeable as the other melody buffs, but as a hunting horn user, having your special is very important. It buffs your teammates for 20 seconds, refreshes all your active songs, and it's the safest way to buff your teammates. So in my opinion, having special replenishment small is not a bad melody to have as a second melody. So in your second melody slot, I would look for these two melodies, earplugs large and special replenishment small. If a hunting horn has one offensive melody in either one of these two melodies, then I think it's a pretty good horn. The other double red note melodies like knockback negation and evasion distance up are not as impactful for me. The knockback's negated melody only gives you firm foothold level 1, and that only very slightly reduces knockback when taking damage. For evasion distance up, it gives you evade extender level 2, which slightly extends your evade distance. I don't think those melodies are as impactful as the special replenishment melody, but it totally depends on your playstyle. For double blue note melodies, I think having defense up is one of the best ones, because it can be useful in any hunt, no matter which monster you are hunting. The other resistance up and negate status effect melodies are way too matchup specific, but they can come in clutch when used against the right monster. Now that we know what each melody does, in the next video I'll be rating every hunting horn in Monster Hunter Now to help you guys pick the right hunting horn for your playstyle. I'll be sharing with you guys the best support hunting horns and the best horns for DPS, so stay tuned for that. But that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.